Welcome to Deep Look, Ultiworld's weekly radio show about the current state of Ultimate. I am the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Ultiworld senior editor Keith Raynor on this Wednesday, September 24th. Following a wild club regionals, we've got so much to get into. And in 30 minutes from now, we will have the live Club Nationals pool draw. Adam Goff will be joining us to take us through the draw, and we will have our full pools by the end of this show. So again, that's in 30 minutes. So if you're tuning in to watch the pool draw, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time is what you're looking for.
I fully expect you to be smashing the thumbs up to give yourself the best karma you can going into the pool draw.
If you're not a subscriber, you're going to get a bad draw. It's that simple. We all know this.
Imagine thumbs downing and putting negativity into the universe right now. Like, what are you doing?
Listen, I was a part of the World Games draw, and I drew the craziest pool possible for Pool B. So I'm ready to harness that same energy for the crazy pools of death that could come out of this format. You know, Molly Brown is a 3 seed, Keith. Yikes.
There's still some accusations that you cursed a team at regionals during their game to go.
I did live suggest that Burrito, like where Burrito is going to be seated at Nationals or something. And then, of course, they did not win. So we have so much to get to. But first, it is time for our trivia question of the week.
All right, we got so much. Let's keep it simple this week. I went back through the last 3 seasons, so the prior seasons to this one, to find the lowest seeded teams to qualify for nationals. The lowest seeded at regionals to qualify for nationals. What was Conspiracy was like the 9 seed or something like that this year. So last 3 years, what's the lowest seed? And of course, bonus points, and I'm sure Charlie will try to guess what teams those were. Lowest regional seeds that I found to qualify for the club championships.
Well, let me think about it while you tell us about Breakmark, because I feel like Conspiracy's got to be the lowest. Like 9 is crazy. That never happened.
Yeah, don't count them. So keep looking after that one. And I'll tell you what, it's not a big a number as the number of years that our friends at Breakmark have been doing it. They're in their 20th anniversary this season. They're celebrating. They've been doing giveaways on Instagram. So make sure you're following them on Instagram, get some free gear. But they also heard about how many of their customers are really enjoying the sublimated gear that they get from their bundles. But sometimes you just want like one thing. Maybe you want 2 pairs of shorts, or you want a reversible or something. They lowered the prices on all their sublimated core items. So that's their reversibles and their short sleeves. Those are down to $35, $30 for sublimated shorts. But you get all the stuff that you love from Breakmark just at an even more affordable price. So check them out, our friends at Breakmark Ultimate.
All right, Keith. My guess is that the lowest seed to make nationals the last 3 years was a 4 seed.
4 seed. All right. It's lower than that. I'll give you one more shot at it.
I'm going to say 5 seed, and it was Lawless.
It was, in fact, you're one off. It's 6 seeds. So I've got 3 6 seeds that I found that qualified. One you should remember fondly because it's right in your backyard. Blueprint is the 6 seed.
Okay.
Qualifying. Brett has it in the chat. Moondog and Space Force, also 6 seeds in qualifying years in the mixed division.
Interesting. So, there was that crazy Northwest year where like there were a lot of really good potential teams.
There you go. Conspiracy breaking new ground. We don't have the technology to dig way back, but I don't know if we're going to get better than a 9 seed.
Yeah, that's, I mean, Conspiracy maybe wasn't going to make regionals. Like it's not, this is an unbelievable story on a weekend with many of them. So let's get into it. We've got 25 minutes until the live nationals pool draw. And let's talk about what a wild regionals it was. Keith, I mean, is Conspiracy your number one story, or do you think it goes to one of the more shocking upsets because the top teams did not make it out of the region.
Conspiracy might be the most fun story, but there is to me one Titanic story that towers above the rest, and it's not as implied by the name. It is not Tower, although that's pretty high up there. Uh, but it's something else that towers, a BFG, if you will. Uh, Mixtape stuns BFG with the game-winning Callahan, the
Roll the
season
tape.
on the line Callahan for Mixtape. Unreal.
Roll the tape.
Unreal.
Take a look at this. Here's the disc. After the turnover, BFG picking up. See you later, Zeppelin Raunig with the Callahan. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. What a way to win. It was a Callahold. But you know what? This Mixtape team, if you had told me going in, what's the spread on this game, I probably would have told you 4.5. Like, that's how big a favorite BFG was, Keith, in a year where Mixtape was in a rebuild. And somehow this team that has won a national championship and was in the conversation to be a title favorite this year is not even going to be at nationals.
I think if you polled folks, subscribers, fans of the division, people on the show, BFG would be the second most popular team to win a title in the mixed division. They didn't even qualify for nationals. Mixtape makes it in two teams that feel like they were just totally opposite directions coming in. Yeah, if you haven't been paying attention, you just like climbed out from under a rock or out of a cave, and you're like, oh, BFG lost to Mixtape at regionals. Like, Northwest, great teams out there, but that is not how this season has played out. This was shocking.
Wow. And then, I mean, let's talk about the Southwest, where neither of the bid earners ultimately qualifies for nationals. Mischief was a top 5 ranked team in the country. And I mean, it was like a total disaster for Mischief this weekend. And they have unfortunately made a habit of having disastrous regional showings after good to great regular seasons. And once again, they will not be at nationals. Tower, who went to Elite Select Challenge without Robin Fennig and some of their other key players, ultimately at full strength, was clearly the best team in this region. And let's roll the tape from the game to go. This was between Lawless and Burrito. And Lawless, a team that was on the brink for like 5 straight games, they had to win elimination games, gets all the way to the game to go, and they are able to knock off this California Burrito team that had earned a bid. And, you know, I didn't feel like a lock to win, but was at least very much in the conversation of getting to nationals for the first time as a team with Khalif, as we see right there in the background. I don't know why the tape is not rolling right now. There it goes. And it was a simple little move around here, a little high release up to the cone, and what a layout to win, Keith.
Lawless was in the backdoor bracket having to play all those elimination games because they lost 14-5 to Burrito in the first place bracket. 14-5. And then you turn around and rematch the next day, and this is the result. Like maybe 15 minutes after Charlie had just accidentally said that Burrito was going to nationals. Like, wow. The Southwest, we knew the Southwest was going to be spicy. We knew that coming in. It was always going to be tough to pick. But Lawless had the weakest resume of the teams, I think, that we were talking about going to nationals really in the Southwest. But again, they pull it off. They play well at regionals. They play well on Sundays. There's a lot of talent on this team and a lot of experienced talent. So I'll be curious to see where they land when we get to our pool draw in 21 minutes.
Well, we got an amazing email from Mel Dunn, who plays for Lawless, and just talked about like how wild it is that they made it here. I mean, they lost some key players, just that didn't even play on the team this season, like Lindsey Doyle and Andrew Cole. Cody Lippincott was hurt a bunch of the season. Kez Gessel coming back from an ACL. Mel Dunn herself had a hamstring issue. They were missing players. Travis Dunn, probably the team's best player, misses PEC. Lippincott missed a bunch of the regular season. They had a very mediocre regular season. And then they get to regionals. I mean, people are still getting hurt, like right and left. Travis Dunn played through significant back pain. He was lying flat on the ground in between points just to like have some relief with the back. He ended up moving into a center handler role instead of playing as a cutter. And you know, they're in this tournament where they'd lost to Burrito and gotten knocked into a spot where they had to win literally every single game the rest of the way. They beat BW Ultimate. They beat Mischief 14-11. They beat Polar Bears 15-10. And then ultimately they beat Burrito 14-13 in the game to go. And this team is they got something else. They got some kind of magic that shows up when it really matters. Mel says, quote, maybe the fact that we don't earn a bid plays to our advantage. We don't have the pressure of losing it. Maybe we're really good at staying present when it really counts. Maybe we do it because of and for each other. Whatever the reason, this team is really special. So there you go.
I liked the little anecdote Mel had at the end about Kez Gessel, who caught that layout winner after having missed last season with injury. But earlier during the season, when the team was like hanging out, asked we're talking about their favorite Frisbee memories, and Kez was like, I don't have one. Like, there you go. You made your own memory.
You got one now.
Yeah.
Tower, by the way, like low drama, won this region. I mean, they were awesome. Dominant final performance. And so the two non-bid earner contenders take the bids out of the Southwest. Let's talk about the Southeast now. That's where I want to go. What's on? But I'll let you choose. Where do you want to go?
Low drama, maybe erasing that 10-9 win over Mischief that they got. But
fair enough. Fair enough.
No, let's the Southeast. Let's do it. Let's be conspiracy theorists.
Well, so first of all, Toro, comfortable victory. And then we get this semifinal between Space Force and Shine. That was a game to go. Space Force wins 14-13. Okay, so knocking Shine, the third bid earner in this region. I guess Space Force at the time was the third bid earner, and Shine was comfortably there. So this is always a difficult spot to be in. If you lose a very close game in a game to go, and then you have to drop down and refocus and play towards the actual last game to go, it can be really difficult to do that. And it seems like perhaps that's what happened for Shine going up against Conspiracy, a team they had already beaten on the weekend. Let's roll the tape. Let's take a look at these moments coming down the stretch for Shine. They had a semis lost Space Force, and then they lose to Conspiracy 15-11. I don't know. Maybe I apologize. My mistake, misunderstanding in our notes. We don't actually have the video, so apologies. But I mean, ultimately, Keith, Conspiracy, we had them on the rapid reacts following the tournament.
Yeah, we got that. We got some audio,
and we had an awesome conversation with one of the leaders of the team. They do not practice. They do not call lines. Half the team doesn't even live in Savannah. And they show up as the 9 seed, and now they're going to nationals, and they're at halftime drinking their emergency beers of the game to go. And they just locked in, and they dominated the second half. It's incredible, Keith.
Unreal story, especially all the drama about pickup teams and taking bids to regionals and stuff. And here comes Conspiracy, blowing up all your narratives. I will just that small note about Toro. I mean, they crushed at regionals. They are also a team that has some of the Mischief reputation for not necessarily showing up their best at this point in the season, but keep an eye out for them. They could be scary at nationals.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing to lose, and we're just getting started here with these upsets. It's been an epic, it's been an epic weekend. Let's go to the South Central. Can we go to the South Central? Or we could stay in the Southeast too, if you want.
Sure, we might as well just head over to the Southeast.
To
Stay
you want to
in
stay in the
town.
Southeast?
Yeah, stay in the Southeast.
Stay in the Southeast. Okay. Well, let's talk about RDU. Um, Keith, we kind of wrote them off because it felt like we'd seen them really rely on some players that they wouldn't have on their roster in Alan Laviolette and Tobias Brooks earlier in the regular season. Those guys were not on their series roster.
Don't let me in. I mean, I to be fair, I was also cool on them like you were, but I still picked them. You don't let me in with you who lost
Fair
all
enough.
faith.
Fair enough. Fair enough. They more than delivered. Look at these results. They beat Chain in the crossover to set up a comfortable path to a bid. And they easily walk through that door. And then they give Ring a pretty damn good game in the finals and lose 15-13. RDU and really the entire triangle cooking this weekend.
They've been in nationals, right? Like, yeah, I know. I saw the same tape. I saw Allen and Tobias Brooks dominant for them. That it turns out there was more than that. They were just doing that because they could. They played well. Chain, scary weekend for Chain. Maybe to me, even the bigger story here was that Chain looked for a little while like they might not make nationals.
I mean, they were in a tight game with Bank in the game to go.
They pulled it out.
They ended up winning. They ended up winning fairly comfortably, but it was close there for a while. Not a good weekend for Chain.
Yeah, losing to RDU by 2 and Ring by 4 is concerning. Get your red flags out.
So, Ring taking the region, looking solid. Obviously, Phoenix, we don't need to, there's no drama there. Phoenix destroyed everybody in the women's division in the Southeast. So that wraps us up here. Let's go to the South Central. We knew that Johnny Bravo and Double Wide were likely to meet in the final in the men's division. They did. And it went to Universe, Keith. Double Wide always seeming to show up at regionals. This is Universe Point. It's Bravo and Black on offense. And a wild hammer. Oh, my God. Just shy of the goal line. And then a little dishy into the end zone for the score. And Bravo gets through.
There was some film shared in the Discord of the high angle view. If you want to try and assess, should not have thrown that hammer. Was it open? Because Kyle Hankey, the molecules may have touched each other on that block. But that's kind of what you pay Nut for, right? I mean, that's what he's there to do, is take the shot and do so confidently. But Double Wide gave them everything they can handle. Honestly, after watching the tape, it felt a little bit like Bravo got away with one in this game. I mean, Double Wide had multiple breaks that they gave up where they threw directly to a Bravo defender within 15 yards of their own end zone. Hankey had one where I guess he thought they were in a matchup defense, but they were in a zone, and he threw it into 4 black jerseys, and they intercepted walking into the end zone. And that was not the only one of those. There were a couple other deflections. There was another deflected goal that Bravo caught. When Bravo's defense locks in, they look pretty scary. What their O-line can play some really nice defense too. But it felt like they got away with one here. And these two teams, it's a little bit like in football when you get a divisional matchup, right? They
yes,
just play tight. They know each other well. Double Wide is not scared of them at all.
I mean, and this is a situation where people are like, why Double Wide deserves to be at nationals. Look how well they did. And it's yeah, but you got to go and play well in the regular season. To me, the teams that miss out that were just right there, like Double Wide and Shrimp, who we'll talk about in a second, it's you have to go play well in the regular season. If you're going to send half squads and you're not going to win games, then you're not going to get to go to nationals. I don't know what to tell you. I think that there could be some club division reforms that could help improve teams' ability to send full rosters. But at the end of the day, the schedule. You got to go and play the games and earn a bid if you want to go to nationals. But it does make for great drama.
I won that bet with Gamble, so keep an eye out for somebody wearing Deep Look podcast jerseys next year.
Let's go.
All right, we got
How
10
many Deep Look
minutes.
jerseys we got out there? Yeah, we have 10 minutes. 10 minutes to the live Nationals pool draw. We got to keep it moving right now. Let's go to the Northeast. And I want to talk first about Red Tide. And I got to give credit where credit is due. We got an email from Justin on Thursday, September 11th. And he told us that we needed to have Red Tide on the radar. Quote, this team has been progressing all year, with regionals being the first weekend with a full-strength roster. With 2 14-12 losses to Phoenix and Mephisto and strong wins against a ton of border teams. This is a team more than capable of making a Sunday game-to-go push. A well-rounded team led by veterans Babcock, Baker, and Linehan, mixed with young talent. Current Donovan winner Snyder, U24 Worlds player Moore, and many former and current UFA champion Boston Glory players. And yeah, he kind of called his shot, Keith.
And they were not on my radar. I did not heed the warning. We also we're doing our top 25 player ballots, and we open it up to subscribers. A lot of times I get ballots that have just one name on them. I don't know why people even bother filling out the form if they're going to do that, but it happens a lot. Stuart Kelly from Red Tide. I got a lot of one-person ballots that are not going to count, but people really want to hype up Stuart Kelly. So there it is for your hype. But yeah, I mean, this is a tough region to get out of. We knew who the top 2 were going to be, and then it was like 5 or 6 teams. We're going to battle it out. And Red Tide, I think, pretty clearly was the best of that group. They had the best results on paper throughout this tournament.
Yeah, and it was going to be a battle between them and Phoenix and Mephisto and Blueprint, and so at the end of the day, Red Tide gets it done. And are they a team that could maybe do something interesting in Nationals, Keith? Could they make a pre-quarter? Could they win a pre-quarter?
Ask me again in 9 minutes or whatever.
After we
minutes.
do the pool draw. Yeah. We are 8 minutes.
There is some like RDU Northeast energy here. Or maybe it should be Sub-Zero, since there's so many D3 guys on this team.
Yeah. I mean, report on the ground is that their offense was quite good. So we'll see what they can do. Elsewhere in the Northeast, it was a very exciting game in the women's division as well for the final bid. Not much drama for Brute Squad and Bent getting through, but Iris and Starling played a banger, and Iris comes away with a 15-14 win, preventing Starling from getting their first Nationals. Iris heading back to Nationals. Keith, this is what we thought it might be. Like, these two teams were looking pretty coin flippy coming into the weekend, and it turned out that way.
Yeah, I think Iris with a no turn hold to take the dub, but pushed to the limit. And you had Starling picked. I agree with you that it felt pretty coin flippy between the two teams. Starling just getting edged. I heard that Flo Dion had a really big impact on that game, which I haven't gotten to watch in full, but did get to watch the end of on the live stream. But that is one of the games that we got. So if you want to see the back end, we don't have that game entirely. I think we had to switch to it mid-round, but we do have the back end of that game for the drama. So you can go and watch that if you have a subscription.
Yeah, remember, we were filming at Northeast, Southwest, and Mid-Atlantic. So if you want to check out footage, there's a little bit of footage from some other regions around on YouTube that you can find. So check out all the regionals footage. It was obviously an amazing weekend. Let's go back to the Northwest. It's where we started to talk mixtape upsetting BFG. And we will talk Sockeye and Shrimp, another super tight battle there, as Sockeye edges Shrimp 13-12 in the game to go. I don't think we should be shocked. Shrimp's a really good team, Keith, and I actually think Sockeye could have a really good Nationals. It's just, some of these borderline teams are just getting really good.
I mean, Shrimp did not have a great regular season, though. I think I still feel like I see the reason for doubting them, especially the way I thought Sakai looked pretty good in the regular season, although their results were a bit spotty. I I think, you look at Sakai crushing Furious, they lose to Rhino by 3. That's about what I would expect. So I think this probably says more about Shrimp than it does about Sakai. I'm maybe a little worried about Sakai, like slightly, but not super worried. But Shrimp had a real shot at it. And I thought it was going to be Furious. They were one of my top teams to potentially steal a bid, and it was not Furious.
And Furious didn't really like they weren't really in the conversation.
Well, I mean, they lost by 1 to Shrimp in the game prior to this. So impressive that Shrimp was able to turn it around and still run out another strong game.
And then on the women's side, how about this? For the top of the region, Schwa pasting Riot 15-7. Whoa. Like, it's been a while since Schwa's won this region. I mean, this is kind of what I mean. I know it doesn't really matter from like who's going to national standpoint, but this is one of the wildest score lines of the weekend. I think Schwa's obviously a good team. Knew that coming in, but Riot's been so good all season long. They look great at US Open. They look great at Pro Champs. For them to get rocked like this by Schwa is eye-opening. I mean, I don't know whether it says more about Schwa or about Riot.
Yeah, what I've heard is that Schwa played their best game of the season, one of the best games they've played in a long time. And I still think back to the way Riot coach Alyssa Weatherford was talking about the process at Pro Champs. And yeah, we're in the postseason, but they'd already qualified. So like I can kind of see how that mindset might impact how they perform in a game like this, where they're locked in and they're just kind of like
Sure
looking now at nationals. So it could be a little column A and little column B. But the way Riot has played, being them 15-7, even if they're playing their bench, is impressive and gives you some ceiling for a Schwa team to potentially be an upset squad at nationals.
Ultimately, Keith, 6 teams, 1 in men's, 1 in women's, 4 in mixed, that didn't earn bids, end up at nationals. It feels like a high watermark here for crazy regionals drama. Why do you think this was such a wild year?
I think partially the data feeding the rankings might have not necessarily been the best. Like the data that we had to go off of with the absences, with the weird stuff going on with rosters, with the impact that the semi-pro leagues have on rosters. So like the regular season may just not give you both the algorithm and us the optimal data to make the judgments about how good teams are going to be going into the postseason. That's my number one leading theory. Is it's more of an issue with like diagnosing the disease than it is with treating it, if so to speak. Not that this is a disease. I mean, I love it. This is great. I just don't remember a time that regionals in club had this kind of surprises in store. 1 or 2 of these, sure, but all like there were like 8 to 10 different, pretty impressive, crazy stories.
By the way, Schwa last won Northwest Regionals in 1993. So it has been over 30 years. And to do it in that fashion, wow. Look out, nationals. All right. We are 2 minutes away from the start of the Club Nationals pool draw. We will be doing it live. We're going to break down all the details, the how it's going to work. They've already drawn the order in which the pools will be drawn for each pot. So like they randomize both the order and then also the teams within that. So we have the pool order already set, and we will be doing the live draw for the teams into those pools right after this. Stay with us. It is Deep Look. We'll be right back.
The game's biggest stars on the game's brightest stage. The world's most competitive annual tournament pits the playmakers and the game changers against one another in a weekend of action. So many legacies on the line in this game.
Arguably the best player.
And that's just
just ridiculous. She's got it, and it's over.
Yes. It's time. We are ready for the live pool draw for Club Nationals. They used to seed it, Keith. They used to have a whole, the ranking committee was looking at everything. They decide, head to head, blah, blah, blah. Now it's just the top 4 teams in the rankings get put into pools A, B, C, and D, and then we randomize the rest by pot. So let's take a look at the rules, just so that everybody's aware exactly how it works. Okay. So the top 4 ranked teams get those spots in pools A, B, C, and D, respectively. And then the next 4 ranked teams are placed into pot 2. And then there is pot 3 and there is pot 4. So within those pots, so like the teams ranked 5 through 8, basically, are put into the pool 2 seeds and so on and so forth. Additionally, you can't have more than 2 teams together in a pool from the same region. And we will start with pot 4. That's actually a change that was made after the first year we did this, because somebody pointed out mathematically that it was unfair to higher ranked teams to pick the pot 2 teams first, because then of the way that the region rules worked, it could end up being unfair. So we don't need to rehash the point, but the pot 4 teams go first, Keith, then 3, then 2.
And anything
you want to add?
This is year 3, I believe, of us running this, or of USA Ultimate running it. I'm giving myself too much credit here, but I do think that this is like probably an important inflection point for seeing how people feel like this system works and if it is helpful or making nationals a better experience. So very curious to see how this will fall this year and how people will receive it.
All right,
also,
well,
make
it's
sure
time
you hit
to
the thumbs
welcome.
up button if you want to get a good draw. You got it.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good draw, you make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit thumbs up right now. You don't want to have that negative energy. Let's welcome in now National Men's Director Adam Goff, who will be doing the live draw with us once again here on Deep Look. Welcome. How are you?
I am doing great. Looking forward to this as always.
The bingo balls are ready. I know you're ready to drop one of them on the ground and get the howls of collusion going.
Yep. I've already received multiple texts asking me to drop specific teams.
All right, so we're going to start in the women's division, and the order has already been decided for the pools that we're going to do. So in pot 4, which will be our first pot, we will do D, B, A, C. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Does that sound correct to you?
That is correct. We we randomized these, but to make sure we got through this quickly, we did that yesterday, set everything up, and yep, D, then B, then A, then C for this first one.
So there's a quick look at the pots. Fury will be the number 1 overall seed, then Brute Squad, Scandal, and Riot at the top of each of the pools. And we're going to begin with pot 4, which is Nightlock, Grit, Iris, and Heist. And those teams will be selected right now. I don't think there's any reason to pause any further. Adam, are you ready to go?
I am. I've already placed those 4 bingo balls into our device, and we'll hope.
I was imagining someone coming in and seeing the pots and thinking they were the pools, just be like, "What happened?"
Yeah, exactly. All right, our first draw going into Pool D. So just so everyone knows, the numbers on these are the USAU rankings. So that is Grit. 14
number
goes into Pool D.
14 ranked Grit will be in Pool D alongside Riot. Shout out
to our national women's director on that team. I will point out in my own sadness, I am the only national director who is not attending nationals with the team competing this year. So congratulations to both of them, and they're not here to avoid any collusion.
So Grit in there with Pool D. Our next draw will be for Pool B. So we'll see who's going to be with Brute Squad at the bottom of the pool.
And that is 15. So that is Iris.
Number 15 is Iris. So that automatically means that Bent cannot be in Pool B because Iris and Brute Squad both from the Northeast. Our next draw is for Pool A with Fury.
Pool A gets 13.
And that
13
is Nightlock. So same story there, although just the two teams. Oh no, I'm sorry. Flip side will not be able to be in Pool A, so we know that now. And finally, of course, that leaves Heist. Shamefully, Keith, we didn't talk about Heist in our regionals chatter, but they beat Pop on Universe to claim the North Central bid, and now they will be playing Scandal in Pool C.
There we go. We've got the lower line filled in. Lots of regional rematches.
Pot 3 is Molly Brown, Parcha, Traffic, and Sixers. And it's going to be CBDA. CBDA. So we'll begin first with the team that'll go into Pool C.
And that is number 9. So Molly Brown.
Molly Brown goes into Pool C along with Scandal, and that automatically is going to probably make that the Pool of Death, Keith. We will talk more about these later. Next up, we have Pool B's team, which is
12. And that is Sixers.
Sixers. And number 12 ranked Sixers landing in Pool B. Wait a minute. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was going to say they can't do it. But no, we can do it. Sixers is in Great Lakes now, Keith.
Oh, yes.
Sixers is in Great Lakes now.
My gosh.
I know.
We're fools.
Old habits die hard. Okay, continue.
All right.
This is Pool D.
Number 11.
And
Traffic.
The 11 seed is Traffic. Traffic going into Pool D. So that means that we cannot have Schwa in Pool D.
And that leaves our final team.
Parcha.
Parcha.
Going into Pool A. So Fury, Parcha, and Nightlock. Let's keep it moving right now. We go to Pot 2. That is Schwa, Bent, Phoenix, and Flipside. And they will go into A, D, C, B in that order. So we begin with the team that will go into Pool A, which cannot be Flipside.
Cannot be Flipside. Correct. So we have.
So if we draw. So hang on. Before you show it.
Yep.
If we draw Flipside here, do they go back in and we redraw? Or do they automatically go into the next pool?
We would redraw, obviously, until we get to the last two. If it happens in the last two, then we know where everybody goes.
Because it's automatic. Yep. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. And to make it easy, it is not Flipside. Instead, we have Schwa.
Okay, so Schwa landing in Pool A. Fury, Schwa, Parcha, Nightlock. That Schwa Parcha game is going to be fun. Next up, we have Pool D's team.
Pool D gets Bent.
And that is fine. That is fine. So Riot, Bent, Traffic, and Grit. We have left Phoenix and Flipside. So next up is Pool C. Who's going to be in the Scandal Molly pool?
And in this case, we have pulled Phoenix.
Phoenix landing in Pool C. Wow, Keith. Scandal, Phoenix, Molly.
Leaving us, of course, number 8, wherever that number is, and Flipside goes into B.
Flipside lands in B. So Brute, Flipside, Sixers, Iris, Scandal, Phoenix, Molly, Heist, Riot, Bent, Traffic, Grit. Round out pools B, C, and D. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to talk more about all of these pools and give our reactions in a little bit, but we want to keep the draw moving along, Keith. That's, Phoenix, Scandal, Molly. Whew. Pool of death right there. We'll see. So let's
welcome
talk
Nationals Heist.
Yeah. Let's talk mixed pots. Hybrid is the number 1 overall seed. Exist, number 2 in Pool B. Toro and Shame rounding out your top 4. Pot 4 will be our first draw. That's Mile High Trash, Lawless, Mixtape, and Conspiracy. A few bid stealers. And so let's get right to it. We will be drawing C, A, B, D in that order for mixed. And take it away, Adam.
All right. And we have our first team, which is 19. 19, that is Lawless.
Lawless landing in Pool C along with Toro. All right.
All right. Next is 20. You can see that? 20,
Yes,
which
we
is
can.
Mixtape.
Mixtape landing in Pool A alongside Hybrid. I already like it. Okay. Next up is Pool B.
Pool B is 17, which is Mile High Trash.
All right. Mile High Trash landing with Exist.
And
And that leaves us Conspiracy.
Conspiracy, who get a special colored ball.
Number 39 ranked Conspiracy will be playing alongside Shame in Pool D. All right, let's move to Pool C. Pot 3, and that is CBDA. The teams in that pot are Sprocket, Tower, Amp, and Space Force.
All right. So the first one going into C is 16, which is Space Force.
Space Force moves in with Toro and Lawless. We've already drawn Conspiracy, so no concerns about regional issues there. All right. Next up is Pool B.
Next up, Pool B is 13. It was Tower.
That is Tower. Okay. That's looking a little deathy already, Keith.
14.
Going
Amp.
into D is Amp.
Going into D.
So Shame, Amp, and Conspiracy together in Pool D. And that leaves Sprocket, which will go into Pool A with Hybrid and Mixtape. So we get the Hybrid Sprocket matchup in pool play, Keith.
Oh, we saw this one at Pro Champs as well. So
we sure did. It was a mismatch at Pro Champs, but I think that game's going to be a little tighter at Nationals. All right, on to Pot 2. The teams are Slow, Dragon, Disco Club, and Rally. And we go CABD.
No concern about where they go. All right.
Correct.
Let's see our first one. The first one
into Pool
is
C.
5. Goes into C, so Slow goes into C.
Okay, Toro, Slow, Space Force, Lawless in Pool C. Next is to A.
All right. And we get 10. 10 is Rally.
Rally landing into Pool A. Okay.
All right.
And then we have Pool B.
Is ADC, Austin Disco Club. Number 8.
Number 8, Austin Disco Club into Pool B. And that leaves
Dragon
Thrust
7.
to go into Pool D. So some OG mixed teams there together in Pool D. I'll read them off all for the podcast listeners later. Pool A is Hybrid, Rally, Sprocket, Mixtape. Pool B is Exist, Disco Club, Tower, Mile High Trash. Pool C is Toro, Slow, Space Force, and Lawless. And Pool D is Shame, Dragon Thrust, Amp, and Conspiracy. So interesting, pretty balanced pools, it feels like. We'll talk more about them later. Let's move on to the men's division. Let's take a look first at our pots. Revolver will be the number 1 overall seed. Then Dig, Pony, and Rhino Slam rounding out the tops of pools B, C, and D, respectively. There are your pots. We will begin again with pot 4, which is Sub-Zero, Goat, Condors, and Red Tide. And the order for this first round is going to be DCBA. So let's go ahead and get it going here, Adam.
All right. Going into pool D, we have 13, which is Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero. Strong performance at North Central Regionals. They will be with Rhino in pool D. On to pool C.
Pool C gets 16, which is Condors.
All right. So Condors will play Pony in pool C. We have Goat and Red Tide left. We're going to pool B here.
And we get 18 Red Tide.
All right.
To tell you
Red Tide.
To tell you how long it's been since Red Tide's been to Nationals, I played against them the last time Red Tide played Nationals.
That's awesome. Early 2000s.
I believe it was 1999.
Wow.
Diego.
Okay. Amazing. And that leaves Goat for pool A.
Kids are on the team. All right, and so that means our final team, 14, Goat for A.
Okie doke. On to pot 3. It's Sockeye, Bravo, Chain, and RDU. We're going DACB. So we begin in pool D. Bingo balls into the hopper.
We have 12. So that is
RDU.
RDU.
Into pool D with Rhino and Sub.
And next, 9.
This is the pool
Sockeye.
A. To pool A. So
Sockeye.
Revolver, Sockeye will meet up in pool play along with Goat. Next, we have pool C or Bravo and
Pool
Chain.
C gets 11, which is Chain.
All right. Pony, Chain, and Condors together in pool C. And that, of course, leaves Bravo to go into pool B along with Dig and Red Tide.
There you go.
Number 10 ranked Johnny Bravo. Okay. Final pot of the pool draw is pot 2 for men's. It is Machine, Ring, Truck, and Pac-Men. And we're going ACDB. So we will begin with the final team that will join Revolver, Sockeye, and Goat in pool A. And that team will be...
All right. Let's see. Here we go.
The number
We have
5 ranked team, Chicago Machine, landing with Revolver and Sockeye in Pool A. Wow. That is explosive. I mean, Machine was going to be a scary team to get no matter what, like Molly and Women's. All right, so we go to Pool C next.
That's tough for the 1 seed.
There we go. 8. We get 8 Pac-Man.
That is Pac-Man in Pool C with Pony, Chain, and Condors. What a draw for Pony, I got to say. We'll get to it more later. Next up, for Pool D.
6. We have Ring of Fire.
Ring of Fire lands in Pool D with Rhino, RDU, and Sub. And that, of course, leaves just Truck Stop, who will land in Pool B with Dig and Bravo and Red Tide. So a Dig Truck rematch in pool play. Nothing to see here, Keith. All right. Adam, fantastic work. You were very prepared with the bingo balls. None were dropped.
Yeah,
None were dropped this year. I will try to get back on my game next year.
No one's winning this year,
right.
everybody. Pack it up.
Adam Goff, National Men's Director, thank you for doing this with us again. It's been a lot of fun, and we're going to talk about all these pools right now. We can let you go.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you out in San Diego.
Very good. Adam Goff, Thank you for all of your help and preparation on this. Let's begin where we started with the women's division. And let's take a look at our pools, Keith, that were generated by this random draw. Overall, I mean, I don't feel like there was any absolutely completely nuts, absolute perfect pool of death that got drawn, but obviously Pool C is going to be the standout here with Scandal, Phoenix, and Molly Brown. I think if you give them like a Nightlock or maybe an Iris, that would be like max pool of death possible. What are your thoughts on Pool C?
That's a brutal draw for all three of those teams. At least they'll get the iron sharpens iron. Also, as was we didn't mention this, but we recently published an article by Tim Schock on the site about how the format affects teams with their pre-quarter bye. Some teams play in pre-quarters and then have a round off before quarterfinals, while other teams play in pre-quarters and then play directly into the next round in quarterfinals. Pools B and C are the pools that play directly into quarterfinals, and they tend to perform far worse. So not only are you in the pool of death in Pool C, but you're also in the bad pre-quarter round. So it's you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Maybe we should have tried to get Adam to commit to changing the format right now.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, whoever got Molly was going to be facing pool of death scenario.
Agreed.
But I think the thing is, if you look at those two seeds, Keith, from pot 2, Schwa, Flipside, Phoenix, Bent, do you think Phoenix is the highest ceiling team of those 4?
Yes, but not by much. I think the only team that you feel like might be in a different tier than the others is Schwa, and we saw what their ceiling can look like. So they have the ceiling to be scary, but I think they have the Flipside's resume is also pretty underwhelming from this season. But I think there's a little more belief in what we've seen from Flipside in recent years. But still, I think drawing Phoenix and Bent is probably the worst case scenario if you're the 1 seed from that pot, and to add that on to Molly Brown is tough.
Tim Schock in the chat just put in all caps, don't change the format this year.
Yeah, he's in Pool A where you get the quarterfinal bye.
So let's just quickly take a look at each of these pools. And obviously we're going to have literally a month to look at all of this and think about these pools and talk more about them. But Fury, Schwa, Parch, and Nightlock, Pool A. Fury obviously hasn't lost a game this season. They're going to be the favorites regardless of their draw. But I do feel like it's a pretty favorable draw overall for them. Schwa and Parcha should be in a pretty damn good battle for the second spot in this pool. Yeah.
Yeah, Parcha had the better regular season, in my opinion. Schwa played better regionals. So you've got two teams that there's reason for optimism for them. Both teams are going to probably be underdogs going into quarters, should they make it that far. So these are teams that are really want to finish in second, have a better pre-quarters draw, and then potentially get that upset in quarters. I mean, I think that's the path that they're looking for, making this game super meaningful.
Pool B is Brute, Flipside, Sixers, and Iris. You think there's a little upset potential there? Flipside's looked a little shaky at times this season, Keith, and Sixers has played not at full strength a decent amount. Iris is a little bit punchy. Could we see anything besides a strict, ordering of those 4 teams in that order?
I do think so. Sixers is going to get their now feeling traditional regionals reinforcements from abroad. So they'll be adding a couple of talented players to the roster. But Flipside also played pretty well at regionals, I'd say. They ended up losing 15-12 to Fury, but I heard that game was pretty close throughout. So maybe Flipside's really hitting their stride. And that's with Kayla Helton still, I believe, not at 100%. So I do think there's some chance for Flipside to play either way. There may be a shot they're going to upset Brute Squad, or they might take a loss to Sixers, or both. Maybe they will get both, given the way that they've been up and down this year.
And then Pool D is Riot, Bent, Traffic, and Grit. It does feel like a little bit of like top two, bottom two here to me. Do you see it differently?
Um, no, not necessarily. No, I think you got a 4 and a 6 seed. It's a pretty good separation from 11 and 14. But yeah, it seems to feel like they're in different tiers at this point in the season. And we'll find out if what we saw from Riot in the regional final is indicative of them losing some of their steam, or if they'll be able to figure it out over the next month and come back out looking like the contender that they were in the regular season. And we've yet to feel like it's yet to feel like we've seen Bent hit their ceiling. So this is their big chance.
All right. Any final thoughts on the draw here? Obviously the Scandal Phoenix Molly combo is going to just jump off the page, and I'm sure we're going to watch a lot of those games on the showcase field and on Field Pass at Nationals.
I feel like maybe it was the first year with Scandal the number 1 overall seed and they had like a really brutal 1 seed draw or something like that. I feel like they have not had the best draw luck over the course of this. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like they've had a tough run. But we've seen these Scandal Molly Brown matchups that's turned into one of the more interesting rivalries. So I think that we're going to get another chapter in that story.
All right. Well, let's turn our attention to the mixed division. And certainly at first glance, I thought these felt very balanced. Like no real obvious dangerous pool. Does one stand out to you, Keith?
No, I think this is a very balanced set of pools. I definitely agree with you. Yeah, I think I would have trouble. I'm trying to think right now because I assume you're going to ask me which I think is the hardest pool. But I think even the hardest pool is just not that much harder than any other. So there is no pool of death here. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't really see a pool of death. I think if I had to pick one, I'd pick Pool B. Just because I'm pretty high on Tower. I think Mile High Trash has a pretty good chance to be the best 4 seed.
I agree with you.
And Disco Club had a really good season. And yes, they came up short of Shame at regionals, but Shame's really good. Disco Club, like I don't really think I can see Trash winning this pool, but I genuinely could see any of the other 3 teams in Pool B winning the pool. I mean, I just think that Tower is underseeded at 13 because of the nature of their regular season. So, you have 2 regionals winners and then a Disco Club team that was a top 10 team during the regular season and a punchy highest ranked of the 4 seeds. So that does feel like if I had to pick one, pool of death, but not substantially so, right? If Dragon was in the Disco Club slot, then I think it would be obvious, but they're not. So feels even.
I mean, if you just look at the rankings as a juicy draw for hybrid, 3 double-digit teams, including the last seed at the tournament, or I guess not the last, the second to last, lowest ranked team at the tournament. Like hybrid's probably feeling pretty good. I think maybe that's underselling Rally, but is there any 2 seed you would take? You would say you would prefer to draw over Rally? I don't think so. I think hybrid's got to feel pretty good about their draw. Not, I'm certainly no guarantees in mixed, but
I mean, BFG and Mischief already knocked out. Mickey Mouse title incoming for hybrid. I'm kidding, kind of. But yeah, no, it's a very favorable draw for the number 1 overall seed for sure. Like look at hybrid's path in front of you, right? I don't think they lose a game in pool play. And then they are going to get, who's the quarter crossover for A? It's winner of one of the BC matchups.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up right now because I actually want to. I want to think. I want to think it all the way through here. The number 1 seed gets
is the winner of the B2 C3 matchup.
B2 C3. So make your prediction there. What's it going to be? B2. I'm going to say Tower, but not with conviction. But let's say one of Disco Club or Tower, and like that's not an easy quarter, but you win that, then you're playing maybe Shame. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a good path for them.
Yeah, and being able, if you can cruise through pool play, especially in the mixed division where chaos is like on the menu, then yeah, I think you got to feel pretty good. And not to say they will. I think Rally, we know what Sprocket did last year. No, it's totally writing them off. But I think just based on where we are now, what we've seen this season, this is a very favorable draw for them.
Okay, let's talk Pool C real quick. Toro, Slow, Space Force, Lawless. What do you see here?
Well, I think a lot is going to depend. These are teams that I think we don't necessarily know that we have a great feel for. How good is this Slow team? We just saw them play pretty well at the Pro Championships, but they also they went 3-3 on their way to losing a hybrid. They lose to Sprocket by 5 at regionals, but they also have like good wins over Rally. They beat Lawless earlier this season, although I don't know what we're taking from what Lawless did in the regular season. They've beaten Space Force already. They've beaten Exist. So there's some good wins on the resume, but 5 feels like it's generous for how I look at that Slow resume. But I'm a little skeptical of Space Force, and then Lawless is kind of a wild card. I think Lawless probably likes this draw.
Well, what's kind of wild is that Slow finishes at the in the 3rd spot at Northeast. They got kind of smacked by Sprocket,
Yeah.
and yet they got to feel pretty happy, right? They're the number 5 seed in the country. They end up in a pool with what I think most people will feel is the weakest top seed. Whether that proves to be true or not remains to be seen, but Shame, obviously, having previously won a national championship, a little bit more cachet. Hybrid and Exist looking like 2 of the best teams this regular season. Toro, kind of unproven. And so Slow's got to be feeling pretty good about it, especially considering that they draw like not their toughest matchups at the bottom of this pool. I mean, I know Lawless just made a crazy run, but do they have it in them to do it at nationals through 3 intense pool play games? I don't know about that.
Yeah, Toro and Slow, I think are both gunning to win that pool. Like I think they got to feel like they have a real shot at that, and then from there you can make your run.
All right. Finally, we look at Pool D: Shame, Dragon, Amp, Conspiracy. First of all, Conspiracy get a win?
I mean, I don't know how many wins I would have thought they were going to get at regionals. So my actual position is going to be skepticism, but this is in fact, if you're Conspiracy, I think this is the worst pool to be in. I mean, you're talking about heavy hitting programs with a bunch of elite nationals experience, right? Amp, yeah, I know what the recent track record looks at, but just look at the leadership on the team. They are well seasoned. So I think this is a really rough draw for Conspiracy.
I think it's going to be a really, really good game there between Shame and Dragon. I think there's a decent chance that's going to be a showcase game. Certainly it'll be on Field Pass, if not on the primary showcase field. Dragon has looked quite good at times, and I think that's feels like a coin flip to me coming into nationals is who's going to win that game.
You think Shame's matching Conspiracy beers with Conspiracy White Claws? Is Shame still on that tip? I don't know.
That's the thing. Like Conspiracy bringing it back, bringing that old school Shame energy.
I think Shame, Dragon, and Amp should all bring local beverages to give to Conspiracy to drink as their emergency beverages. Like Dragon brings some Surly. I'm sure there's some good stuff for Philly and the Colorado area. Give Conspiracy a couple racks. Let them get their emergency beers out.
I love it. That's going to be fun. Conspiracy is going to be a lot of fun. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's go to the men's division, and we got to start with what a horrendous draw Revolver has gotten in Pool A, where they will face Machine, Sockeye, and Goat. Machine was in the Pro Championships finals against Revolver. I think a lot of people feel that they're at least they're at least a top 3 team in the country right now, if not top 2. And there they are with Revolver in pool play. Wow. I'm not sure. Like, I think Sockeye is the worst 3 seed draw too. And I think there's a case to be made that Goat is the worst 4 seed draw. I would say Sub-Zero, but it's like Goat is definitely a more dangerous team than Condors and Red Tide. So that's a brutal pool A. That is almost like max pain.
That is a really tough pool to draw for sure. The only upside, I guess, is one. I guess you don't have the pre-quarters quarter thing, but if you're Revolver, you play well on Saturday, which Machine doesn't necessarily have a great track record of doing, or on day one. Machine not necessarily known for their pool play exploits. Then Machine's all the way on the other side of the bracket for you. So you win that game, or I guess even if you lose it, you're all the way on the opposite side from Machine. But yeah, that's a difficult draw. There's no way around it.
And can we talk about Pool C? Is this like a total dream draw for Pony? Pony's the worst of the top 4 seeds. Like, they lost head-to-head Dig at regionals. Rhino at full strength they got a case to be top 3 in the country. And then Pony easily gets the softest pool. I don't even think it's close.
I concur. Yeah, I mean they definitely drew a live pool here, and like I think this is basically how they would draft it if they were drafting it. Although somebody in the chat whose name implies that they're on Pac-Man already denigrating this Pony team. They're already talking trash.
Good. Yes. That's what I like to see. It's we'll see what happens. I mean, if maybe Chain will get it together. Like, Chain in theory could be really good, but they did not play well at regionals. Okay, let's talk about the other pools. B is Dig, Truck, Bravo, Red Tide. Now there's some potential beef in this pool. Obviously, Dig and Truck have the game where Dig got stripped, but it was given back to Truck. Truck goes on to win in quarters. Dig gets knocked out.
Are you still talking about that? It was just like a career-defining, season-defining moment. Like, are we still on that?
Truck and Bravo have had some epic games at nationals in the last few years. And then there's Red Tide. Thanks for coming, guys. What do you make of this pool? I mean, there is all this history, but is Dig just the best team in this pool pretty comfortably? I mean, I think that will be a question we have to have answered at nationals, but it feels good on paper. It feels exciting on paper.
I'm with you. And I don't know if we know what we're going to get from Truck and Bravo. Has Quinn Finer even cleaned it up for Bravo this year? Are their coaches going to be playing at this tournament? Is everybody even coming for Bravo? And even if they do have a full roster, like, it's not really going to throw that. How many times a game are you going to say it? Yeah, I mean, you have some actual beef in this pool. Beef out there with Truck. Hopefully he's healthy as well. But yeah, I mean, this top 3 could be really exciting, or it could really go the other way. This is the least consistent Truck Stop outfit I think we've seen in a little while.
It's gonna be pretty interesting. All right, well, let's talk about Pool C. I mean, I think clearly we both feel Pony is the heavy favorite to win this pool. Pac-Man, Chain, Condors. I mean, does this open the door for Condors to like finish second in this pool? Like, is that plausible? I guess fundamentally, I'm a little skeptical of Pac-Man's seeding, right? Like, where they're ranked feels a little high, but maybe we're wrong. Maybe we shouldn't feel that way.
If this wasn't a first-year team from Philly, we would not feel this way. But
I mean, they did lose 15-9 to Truck, right? So it's not like they were like in a universe point game with Truck at regionals. Like, they got soundly beaten. And trust me, the Grossbergs are awesome, and they're gonna
They're
hoop.
ahead of a
But
Sockeye team, that they played this year. So, in some ways, I think you do look at this team and say, "Oh, hey, they're legit," but we've also never seen them in nationals. We know a bunch of their best players are pretty young. Uh, so I understand the reasons for skepticism,
high
and
volatility
certainly
team.
you don't have to you don't have to look very far to figure out why people are nervous about Chain going into this. So maybe there is a path for a Condors team that is good at hanging around and being underestimated.
Keep in mind that Pac-Man is floating a little bit with a 13-10 truck win from June. Um,
I mean, that's pretty
and
decayed
that's kind of
though.
bolstered their rankings. Yeah, but it's still a big piece of their ranking. Now, look,
Yeah.
they largely took care of business, right? They've lost to Mephisto back in June, then they lost to Sockeye at ESC, but they got 4-point win over Double Wide, 6-point win over Shrimp, 8-point win over Mallard. Like, they've been really solid. They're clearly belong at nationals, and I think it's just a question of like how good will they be. I think there's a good chance that they prove that they're the second best team in this pool. Maybe Pony Pac-Man will be incredible. New York versus Philly is always fun. It's always fun.
Except for that New York Empire game that we did. That wasn't fun.
Usually fun.
Hey, they won't get. I don't think they'll get bageled, as Rico pointed out, which was the legacy of Philly men's that they've left.
Let's go
Wasn't that
to
their
Pool D.
last
It's
Nationals
Rhino.
game?
It was Patrol. Yeah, I think that
Patrol?
was that. That was it for them. Pool D: Rhino, Ring, RDU, and Sub-Zero. This is a sneaky tough pool. Pool. Like, Ring has proven to be very solid. RDU just coming off of a great regionals. And Sub-Zero is a much more dangerous team than the Minneapolis team has been in like 5 years. I actually could see a lot of permutations of this pool. I mean, I think Rhino's still clearly the favorite to win this pool, and they might end up winning comfortably, but I could see a lot of other things happen elsewhere in this pool.
Agreed. I think we both like Sub-Zero. And Ring played pretty well at Pro Championships. RDU, we talked about their regionals. The crossovers here are in pre-quarters are going to be good, and the battle to not get knocked out should be pretty compelling too. I think Pool D is a lot of fun.
And I just want to circle back over to Pool A. Snap Judgment. How does it finish? What's the order?
To seed. I'll take to seed.
I actually think that's the right answer, but I feel like the games themselves are going to be really intense, and like Sockey's quite punchy. And
Yeah,
I do think Machine could win this pool. I think Machine could beat Revolver and win this pool.
Is it crazy though that I think Sockeye is more likely to beat Machine than Machine is to beat Revolver? Is that crazy? Is that a crazy take? I just don't think Machine plays well in pool play. They just don't take it seriously.
I'm gonna marinate on that. We have so many weeks to dig into these pools and talk about all kinds of different stuff. But I don't know. Machine, I think, is really for real, Keith. Remember, they played Pro Champs without
in
Don.
The bracket, I will be backing Machine for a long way, but
Don Desmarais is likely to be the number one player in our top 25 players of club in the men's division. And he did not play at Pro Champs, and Machine was in that game. So we'll see.
Machine was the number 1 overall seed last year. Couldn't make it out of pool play unscathed.
Fair. All right. Let's get to our mailbag question of the week, and then we're going to wrap up today. Keith, what is our mailbag question this week?
All right. So our mailbag question is a long one here. And it comes from EMF in our Discord. Do we need to revisit rostering deadlines and tournament requirements? It feels like, especially this season, the combination of team hopping, worlds, and UFA conflicts really distorted the bid allocation. The level of teams play at regionals was wildly different from what they had put together all season. That's a point that we kind of talked about during the show. In my opinion, the algorithm was served a lot of bad data this season, and thus we ended up with a crazy regionals. Is that better or worse for the sport? It was much more exciting regionals weekend than usual, ... But obviously the implications of having the regular season not meaningfully impact the postseason are problematic. So what do you think, Charlie? Do we need to revisit the way rostering deadlines and tournament requirements are set in order to have a little more formality to the regular season, a little more similarity to the regular season and the postseason, or is this environment that we're in sustainable?
Well, I'm gonna kick it right back to you because I addressed this in my mailbag yesterday, my written mailbag. I will give you an answer, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
I think that a confluence of things is making this year feel weirder than usual. It's the combination of World Games. Is this a Worlds qualifying year also?
Oh yes, there will be third place games played at Nationals, which by the way will be streamed on UltiWorld to decide the final teams that make the World Club Championships next year in Ireland.
So what that also means is that the Canadian teams have to have a specific focus on CUCs, and that impacts their rosters for the regular season and their postseason. And then on top of that, you had a couple of high-profile players who played with multiple different rosters. Toby Brooks pops up on the RDU roster. He's not playing during the rest of the season. Alan Laviolette switches divisions from RDU to. I think that those high-profile players make it feel like people were just like bouncing around, playing wherever they wanted. And, the regular season was totally crazy because of that, in combination with the fact that you had high profile players in and out for World Games and other commitments. So I think that it's not usually like this. And this isolated season is like kind of a fringe example of what could happen under these current constraints. The tournament requirements, I'm putting in a different bucket than the rostering requirements. I think the tournament requirements this year are at the tail end of years of teams saying, like, we don't like this. So I do think that the tournament requirements thing, it should change, but not necessarily for this reason, but just that, like, if you're USA Ultimate, it doesn't behoove you to feed bad data into your algorithm. They're far more reliant on it. So we really want to avoid that for the tournament requirements. Plus, players seem to not like it. Like, players and teams are not happy with the way the tournament requirements are structured now. That element, I think, could change, but the roster deadlines thing, I think, feels a little more like there's probably a bunch of cases that are helpful that we're not seeing because they're not high profile. Like, no one's talking about them. Players who are playing with a team during the regular season who are practice players and then changing teams to the postseason to go play with other teams. Like, we're not talking about those because the teams that they're changing to are not a big deal. And these are not players who are typically like making our top 25 list or whatever. But those flexibilities are helpful for teams and for the health of the division. So the rostering thing, it's different to me than the tournament requirements. Not a big deal. Tournament requirements, I not only think that they probably should change, but expect them to change because there's so much murmuring from players that they're not happy with where things are.
Well, the problem is, first of all, I largely agree with your take. I mean, I don't care at all about the rostering deadline thing. Like, that's, how many teams is that actually affecting meaningfully? Like, yeah, the RDU thing. I mean, maybe you could lock rosters sooner. Like, for instance, should Alan Laviolette be allowed to play with a team at ESC and then play with a different team 2 weeks later at Pro Champs? I think maybe not. Like, maybe rosters should lock on August 1st or something. I think you need to have some flexibility, and I'm fine with like letting players play with a team for a weekend that they're home and they're playing with their buddies and then they go back to their regular club team for the rest of the season. I don't really see a problem with that, but it is true, I think, that RDU is helped by the fact that they had essentially, I mean, Brooks is one thing, right? He was playing with them and then he just wasn't playing the series. But Laviolette is switching teams specifically to play another high-profile regular season TCT and then also play with them for the series. that feels a little bit more questionable. And he's one guy that really did this in a way that feels like we noticed it. So I don't think
And
this is
he
like some sort of
moved. It
huge
wasn't like he
problem.
was like
Yeah,
it
no,
wasn't like
fair
he was trying
point.
to game the system. Now, to be fair, the
Totally,
system
totally.
could somebody could
The
theoretically game the
system
system
could,
right now, and maybe that advocates for change. Like,
but
let's
for what
say,
purpose? Like,
let's say, here's an example. Let's say that, like Raekwon Atkins and Adam Reese and Leo Gordon are like, you know what, Revolver's really good. We're definitely a lock to get a bid. Let's play with Condors in the beginning of the season, help them out, help the Southwest get another bid, and then we'll go play with Revolver. Like, theoretically, somebody could do that under the system, as far as I understand, but nobody is doing that. I don't think. I don't think anybody's abusing the system in that manner.
but I will say that the tournament situation is the bigger deal, because look at some of the distortions that happened. Right, Bravo sending not even, you can't even call it a skeleton crew, like a fake team, a team that was half comprised of players who do not play on their team, to a tournament early in the season because of a conflict with UFA, completely screwed up the entire men's division algorithm for the whole season. It made
That is an
some
actual
teams
problem.
benefited, and that problem is solvable by not forcing teams to play specific weekends. Like, we need, and Bent had a wedding and had to send skeleton crew because half their team was at a wedding on the weekend they were forced to play a tournament. Why are we doing that? There's no reason to be that strict. Now, I understand you want to make teams play cross tiers, right? That's why ESC exists. It is right now a way that is forced the 9 to 16 finishers at nationals to play against teams that are in that next tier of select. And it does well to give that crossover, but forcing teams to play specific weekends means that you get fake results from those events, which is worse than just letting teams have a little bit more say in what they do. So maybe, and I wrote a whole article about this. Pick 10 tournaments and say, these are the tournaments that you can attend, and you have to play 2 of them. And if you play 3 of them, then you don't have to go to sectionals or something like that. And I think you would still get plenty of crossover. You could still have certain tournaments that are, they are prioritize pro teams, or they prioritize elite teams, or they prioritize select teams. But it just gives more flexibility to people to pick their season schedule around the other things that they have going on, like weddings, like pro games, like whatever. And you could announce this way in advance. It would just be better for everyone, because Club Ultimate is still a hobby. It is like something that you work around the rest of your life. And right now we're getting increasing numbers of distorted results from teams who are sending fake rosters because they're forced to play particular weekends. And that's just not productive.
And in USA Ultimate's defense, lest I know it's so popular to hate on USA Ultimate, and I think it's a bit foolish to say like, oh, this system, they designed it, they're out of touch, they don't care or whatever. Like, teams were asking for this because the upside of forcing teams to go to events is that you know where you need to go well ahead of time, and you know what competition is going to be there. You know that if you go to ESC, the type of teams you're going to play. And under the system that Charlie is ascribing, which I think teams would generally prefer, there is some chance that one of those 10 tournaments or 2 of those 10 tournaments falls on XYZ championship weekend / so-and-so's wedding, and all but one good team goes. And the one good team goes and is like, well, we thought we were going to get good competition here. Instead, we're playing a bunch of scrubs. It's not helping our rankings or whatever. That's frustrating for us because we thought coming to this marquee tournament, we would get good competition. This easily could end up with, not a poor field at Pro Champs or the US Open or whatever, or Pro Elite. Like, you could see how this would open the door to that, but I think that's probably a worthwhile cost to take on in order to give more flexibility, which it seems like teams want. The exchange in almost all cases in this situation, the exchange for flexibility is like consistency and ability to dedicate resources to the event because we already know what it's going to look like. Charlie and I can plan the streaming schedule because we know there's going to be good teams at this tournament. The more flexibility we give, the less we get of that.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you still had, let's say you have a tournament and the first 8 priority slots go to the 8 pro teams. So that's going to look like Pro Elite. because the pro teams are going to have first dibs, and if they want, these good teams want to play each other, so you're still going to end up with tournaments that look similar. But what it would do is it would mean that Bravo, who was forced to play PEC, right, wouldn't have to play PEC. They could just say, no, we're not going to do that one. Instead, we're going to play this other one. They still want to play good teams, so they're probably going to go to the ESC equivalent.
But they wanted to play good teams this year, right? But they had conflicts. There were other things that were more important to them, or that they needed to do, other than play
on that
good
particular
teams.
weekend.
So like exactly, but that could happen theoretically to multiple teams on the same one of these weekends. I agree that it's unlikely, but it is a thing that you open yourself up to. Although I guess right now, under the current system, you're opened up to that, as we've seen through Bravo.
Right. So I think we would still, and I think you can keep US Open, by the way, as it is, like require the semis teams from the year before to go to US Open. But no one's complaining about going to US Open because it's a great tournament and great international teams show up, and it's at a good time of year, and there's no pro conflicts ever because
I don't know.
UFA is not scheduling on that weekend.
There is sometimes a challenge filling out the field. We've seen some. I mean, we've had some teams way outside of the field make it to U.S. Open, right? Like
not lately.
Didn't we have like freaks one year? You know what I mean? Like
we did. We had freaks.
So there are some years in which teams are not going to US.
Freaks beat Machine, right? That was the year Machine was so horrendous on Sunday mornings. Every Sunday morning, they were the worst team on the planet Earth. And Freaks beat Machine, and it was incredible. But mostly that doesn't happen. That was like a post-COVID like weirdness. With the tournament in Denver, it's been full, and the international team's been really good. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to go this coming year because of the time. When is WCC?
That's a good question.
That's going to be a big factor. It's 15th to 22nd of August in Ireland. So I could definitely see European teams coming over and playing US Open as a warm-up before playing.
Yeah, that'll be interesting because teams are really going to want to get in a great opportunity to play, but they also have a clear travel expense. So I think you're going to see European teams for whom traveling to Ireland is more affordable. I think you will see them appearing in droves at the US Open.
All right, before we close, I just want to put the pools up one more time, if we could, Dana. Let's take a quick look again at the mixed pools. And I'll just read them off as we go through here, just so that everybody has them in their mind. And if they're listening to the podcast, they've got them. Hybrid Rally, Sprocket, Mixtape in Pool A. Exist, Disco Club, Tower, Mile High Trash in Pool B. Toro, Slow, Space Force, Lawless in Pool C. And Shame, Dragon, Amp, Conspiracy in Pool D. Let's go to women's. On the women's side, we've got Fury, Schwa, Parcha, Nightlock in Pool A. Brute Squad, Flipside, Sixers, Iris in Pool B. Pool of Death, Pool C is Scandal, Phoenix, Molly Brown, Heist, and then Riot, Bent, Traffic, and Grit in Pool D. Finally, men's. Pool A, the Daunting, Revolver, Machine, Sockeye, Goat. Pool B is Dig, Truck, Bravo, and Red Tide. Pool C is Pony, Pac-Man, Chain, and Condors. And Pool D is Rhino, Ring, Raleigh, Durham United, and Sub-Zero. For Keith Raynor, I'm Charlie Eisenhood, signing off from this edition of Deep Look. Thanks for being with us today. Great to have so many people here for the live pool draw. We've got 1 month until the Club National Championships, and we are excited to talk about these pools and get you ready. If you have questions, hit us in the Discord. If you're a subscriber, we're going to be doing some mailbag shows. We're going to be taking some fun prop bets. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff leading up to nationals.
Are we maybe drafting pools for our sub bonus? Maybe we'll get some subs to represent some of the teams,
like from the pots.
Yeah, like we'll be the 1 seed. We'll each own a 1 seed, and we'll draft our pools as if there's a draft.
And see how it would play out if we had a draft. Ooh, I like that.
Can we do that in our sub bonus? What do we think?
I like it. Let's plan to do it. I guess maybe we'll do that today. Maybe we'll have to schedule if we got to get a third drafter besides one of the subs. So we'll take that into consideration. For Keith Raynor, I'm Charlie Eisenhood signing off. Thanks again to Adam Goff for joining us. Thanks to USAU for making it possible to have this live draw here on Deep Look. We will talk to you next week right here on Deep Look.
Charlie, when we came back in from break, you said like yes on the beat. I like sounded like you were about to start freestyling. I thought we were gonna see if Charlie's got bars.
I'm gonna start writing my lyrics for the back on the break.